Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I'm your host, Commander Claw, and today I am bringing you a monoblack commander from the Final Fantasy set that I think is only one half of Yuriko. Yuriko the Tiger's Blood. If you don't know Yuriko's Tiger Blood, it is one of the most horrific commanders to play against because it has ninjutsu, it's Demir colors, and players have abused it. It is abusive. Literally, you can't stop ninjutsu because they come with creatures that are zero mana and they fly and they attack, but you don't have a blocker to attack, and they ninjutsu Yuriko in, they flip over their top card, and all of a sudden you lose 15 life because it's an Eldrazi. Yes, this card is only half of that, and I'm excited to bring you Shadow, Mysterious Assassin. Let's go. 3/3 body, human assassin. He has Deathtouch, and he has the ability to throw. Whenever Shadow deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice another non-land permanent. If you do, draw 2 cards, and each opponent loses life equal to the mana value of the sacrificed permanent. Okay. All right. So if you're building this commander, first off, he's mono black, and I am thinking artifacts and Voltron. Okay, because there are cards that are artifacts that you can reduce the mana cost to play them. Yeah, so the cheaper the mana investment, the more you can make opponents lose life. That's the way I look at it. Otherwise, there are some powerful, heavy CMC black cards out there, creatures, enchantments um, that can get the job done. So in this video, I have them for you. I have a lot for you. I have more than 5. Super excited to show you them. Let's go. Look, I can't do my boy wrong. I gotta put Interceptor, Shadow's Hound as the first card. Okay, he's in Shadows artwork. Okay, for 2/2 black, 4/3 body, legendary dog. I know you have a dog at home. All dogs are legendary in my book. Anyway, Interceptor has menace, and he says assassins you control have menace. Okay, so we're gonna give Shadow menace along with Deathtouch. That means they can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Cool. Then Interceptor says, whenever you attack with 1 or more legendary creatures, you may pay a total of 2 and 1 black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. In general, this is a great legendary creature that is literally unearthing. That unearth effect, where they come from the graveyard and come to the battlefield with haste, tapped and attacking, all that jazz. So he works well with other commanders. Just to get an additional trigger for a creature entering the battlefield and as an attacker. So this card I think, is really good. I haven't found what other decks you probably can work with yet, but you got to add him with Shadow, Mysterious Assassin. Moving on to these heavy CMC permanents that you want to put on the battlefield. Before we talk about the heavy CMC permanents we put on the battlefield, we got to get them on the battlefield. So besides paying the total 8 mana or 7 mana or 9 mana to put on the battlefield, let's offer some other ways. So we got Planar Bridge for 6 mana. It's an artifact. Legendary. Says tap 8 mana. Search your library for a permanent card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So with this card, I'm looking to drop it on the battlefield, possibly cheat it on the battlefield because it's an artifact. You can reduce the cost of artifact spells. And you're looking for those demons that are 8 mana, 7 mana, or maybe those enchantments that are 8 mana. And when they get on the battlefield, they do their triggered ability and they cause havoc. But when you have Shadow and you go to attack and you make combat damage to a player, you should sacrifice them and make all your opponents lose 7 life, 8 life. Don't think that doesn't add up. That is devastating, especially when life totals are at lethal. And I say lethal is 10 or less. Next up, we have Beseech the Mirror for 4 mana, 1 and 3 black. It's a sorcery. It says bargain. You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast a spell. Search your library for a card, exile it face down, then shuffle. If the spell was bargained, you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost if that spell's mana value is 4 or less. put the exile card into your hand if it wasn't cast this way. Okay, so out the gates, you should look for a 4 CMC permanent, right? And put that on the battlefield, and it should synergize with Shadow and have some kind of death trigger, or when it leaves the battlefield trigger, because when you sack it to Shadow, we want opponents to lose at least 4 life. Otherwise, this card is a great tutor. Just a great tutor. What I do like about it, it exiles that card, so it's protected momentarily. Okay, so now we're getting to the big CMC permanents. Myojin of Night's Reach for 5 and 3 black is a legendary spirit. 5/2 body. It says Myojin's Night Reach ends with a divinity counter if you cast it from your hand. Then Myojin's of Night Reach has indestructible as long as it has a divinity counter on it. Then it says remove a divinity counter from Myojin of Night's Reach. Each opponent discards their hand. The reason why I'm recommending this card is because once you drop it on the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, it's indestructible. But it's also not too attention grabbing where your opponents are like, I need to exile it, I need to destroy it, because it's just a 5/2. Unless you equip it and you do some other crazy stuff. It's just a 5/2 indestructible creature. That's not devastating. But what's devastating is you can remove the divinity counter at instant speed and make opponents discard their hand. So it is a waiting. It's like this is the gameplay. You're just waiting for your opponents to get comfortable. You're controlling their hand because on their turn or another player's turn, whoop, remove that divinity counter. They all lose their hand. You go to your combat stage with Shadow. Bam! You sacrifice Myojins of Night Reach. Each opponent loses 8 life. You are controlling the game. Controlling the game. And what's nasty is about this divinity counter removal, you can do it at instant speed. So if somebody's trying to, you know, this playing the stack, you kind of just eliminate that possibility of extra cards unless they're instant speed. Yeah, I like this card. Avatar of Woe. This is a classic card. Back in my day, freaking love this card. For 6 and 2 black, it's a 6/5 body creature avatar. The main thing I want you to take from this is there are a bunch of heavy CMC spells that can be cost for less mana because they have it on the card's ability, such as Avatar of Woe. So she says if there are 10 or more creature cards total in all graveyards, this spell costs 6 less to cast. So essentially, you could pay 2 black mana to put a 6/5 body with 8 CMC to work and coincide with Shadow's triggered ability Throw. Also, she has Fear. Then she also says tap, destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated. She's just a win-win-win-win-win. She's the definition of mono black, destroying creatures. You got mono black control. Then when you need to and you're able to connect with Shadow, sacrifice her and make opponents lose 8 life. Nothing else that need to be said. Here's another great card that costs nothing to play. You're running mono black for Shadow, right? If you're not, cool. This is just for a mono black deck that I'm talking about. So we have Dross Golem for 5 mana. Okay, 3/2 body, artifact creature golem, affinity for swamps. This spell costs 1 colorless less for each swamp you control. Wow, if you have five swamps in the game, you can play him for free. Play him for free. Then sacrifice him to Shadow and make opponents lose 5 life. Amazing. And don't forget, you get to draw 2 cards with Shadow. So you're replacing your hand. This is a win-win here. Moving on. Oh my gosh, Streets of Capenna had some bangers in it. It really did. And I think a lot of y'all should go back and revisit. Anyway, Shadow of Mortality for 15 mana, 13 and 2 black. Creature Avatar. If your life total is less than your starting life total, this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the difference. Ooh. So if your life total is at 30 and the starting life total is 40, that is a 10 life point difference. So that means Shadow Mortality would cost 5 mana. But this is a great card because It's a 15 CMC, and if you sacrifice it with Shadow, opponents will be losing 15 life. That is devastating. And we have even talked about Psionic Resonator, where you're copying triggers for an additional time. Yeah, you see what I'm saying here? This can get ugly. Moving on. So look, I'll be adding Doffy Embrace to all these mono black legendary commanders from the Final Fantasy set because they all are telling us to go to combat and swing and connect for combat damage to a player. This is the best card to do that. Doffy Embrace for 2 and a black is an enchantment. You tap 2 black mana, target creature gains shadow until end of turn. This creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with shadow. How many creatures are out there with shadow? Not that many. And if they are running it, okay, they have a blocker. But guess what? We want shadow to connect so we can sacrifice a non-land permanent, draw 2 cards, and make opponents to lose life. I think y'all really underestimating how fast this commander actually does damage. It does damage. It does work. And the best part about it, it replaces your hand with 2 cards. That is a lot. Moving on to the last and final card. So look, Adrestia. Sorry if I pronunciate that wrong. I never played Assassin's Creed, but I know Assassin's Creed is a Universes Beyond set in the world of Magic the Gathering, and I looked at it. I looked at everything Assassins, and this card is actually sneaky good. For 3 mana, it is a 4/3 artifact vehicle, legendary, of course. It has Island Walk. Okay, obviously it's a boat. It should have Island Walk, right? It says whenever Adrestia attacks, if an assassin crewed this turn, guess what? Our commander is an assassin. Draw a card. Adrestia becomes an assassin in addition to its other types till end of turn, crew 1. So first of all, it has a low crew cost, 1. That's nothing. Second of all, it has Island Walk. You know how many players play with blue in your pod? Yeah, I bet you all of them do. At least 2/3 of them. At least 2/3 of them have blue in their pip. So imagine having an artifact that can swing it for 4 damage. Okay, that's not bad. But what is really good for is pretty much being unblockable if it's attacking a player with islands, and you get to draw a card. And you're not putting shadow at risk of not connecting with damage. You see what I'm saying? Because what's going to happen is whenever you play Voltron, if you only have that one creature to attack and block, you give and take the scenario. So if you go to attack, generally you're tapped to attacking and you're open for uh, to be attacked. So, well, heck, you got a 4/3 attacking creature, and you didn't lose shadow to somebody's powerful blocker. That's why I really like this card. So look, Shadow Mysterious Assassin, I think is a really cool mono black commander. It brought another element to the game. It rewards you for connecting damage to a player, to an opponent. Then you get to drain life to all of your opponents by sacrificing a non-land permanent. It kind of reminds me of a mono black Yuriko, right? Does it not? Does it not? Does it not? I think it does. And I think it works. I think it's fast and effective, and it could be fair. I haven't tested it out yet, but I'm looking at cards and trying to help y'all out. So in the comment section below, tell me what cards that you think should work with it. Thank y'all. Peace.